The perfect daily routine for students. You're doing it wrong. You wake up at 6 in the morning because that's what successful people do. You make your bed, drink water with lemon, do 20 minutes of journaling, hit the gym, meal prep, review your goals, and sit down to study by 8. By noon, you're exhausted. By evening, you're scrolling through your phone feeling like a failure because you couldn't keep it up past Wednesday. Here's the strange part. You're not failing because you lack discipline. You're failing because you're trying to live someone else's nervous system. We've been sold this idea that the perfect routine is universal, that if you just copy the morning habits of a Silicon Valley entrepreneur or a productivity influencer, your brain will suddenly cooperate. But routines aren't one-size-fits-all templates you download and install. They're deeply personal architectures that need to match how your specific mind and body actually function. And most students are building routines for a person they think they should be, not the person they actually are. There's a concept in psychology called temporal discounting, where we consistently overestimate our future self's willpower and underestimate our present self's limitations. We design tomorrow's schedule as if tomorrow's version of us won't be tired, distracted, hungry, or human. We create routines for an idealized self, then wake up disappointed when the real self shows up instead. The stereotype is that students who can't maintain rigid routines are lazy or undisciplined. The reality is that most students are trying to force their natural rhythms into unnatural containers. Your body has something called a chronotype, a biological preference for when you feel most alert and when you naturally want to sleep. Some people are genuinely wired to think clearly at 5 in the morning. Others don't hit their cognitive peak until late afternoon or evening. This isn't a character flaw, it's genetics. Research from chronobiology shows that forcing an evening-type person to do their most demanding mental work at dawn is like asking them to think through fog. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus and complex reasoning, literally isn't fully online yet. But we've built an entire cultural narrative that says waking up early is virtuous and sleeping in is weakness. So students set alarms that contradict their biology, then wonder why they can't concentrate. The perfect routine isn't about discipline, it's about alignment. Think about the last time you were genuinely productive, not performatively busy, but actually absorbed in what you were doing. Chances are you weren't following someone else's system. You were probably working at a time that felt natural to you, in an environment that didn't drain you, on something that held your attention without force. That state, that feeling of things clicking into place, that's what a good routine should be designed to recreate. Not through willpower, but through structure that respects how you actually operate. Here's where most students go wrong. They think a routine is about controlling their time, but time is just the frame. What you're really trying to manage is your energy, your attention, and your cognitive load. Those three things fluctuate throughout the day in patterns that are unique to you. A routine that works is one that places demanding tasks when your energy is high, protective downtime when it's low, and transitions when your attention naturally shifts. Let's talk about energy first. You have different types: physical energy, the kind you need to move your body and stay awake; mental energy, which fuels focus and problem solving; and emotional energy, which handles stress, social interaction, and decision making. These don't deplete at the same rate. You can be physically tired but mentally sharp, or emotionally drained but physically restless. A smart routine doesn't treat all tasks as equal. It matches the task to the type of energy you have available. If you're trying to write an essay at 10 at night after a full day of classes and social interaction, you're not fighting laziness, you're fighting emotional depletion. Your brain has spent all day regulating your mood, navigating social dynamics, and making small decisions. By evening, your emotional energy is gone, and writing requires emotional energy because it involves making choices, evaluating ideas, and tolerating uncertainty. The routine isn't failing because you're weak, it's failing because you're asking the wrong type of energy to do the job. Attention works differently. You've probably noticed that some tasks pull you in and others push you away. That's not random. Your brain is constantly scanning for relevance and reward. If something feels meaningless or too far removed from a tangible outcome, your attention will resist it. This is why you can spend 3 hours researching something you care about, but can't focus for 20 minutes on a subject that bores you. It's not about effort, it's about perceived value. The writer Cal Newport talks about deep work, the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. But deep work isn't just about eliminating distractions, it's about creating conditions where your brain believes the work is worth the effort. That might mean breaking a massive project into smaller pieces so each session feels completable, or studying with someone else so there's subtle social accountability, or changing your environment so your brain doesn't associate your desk with procrastination. A good routine builds in these conditions. It doesn't just block out time and hope focus appears. It engineers the context that makes focus likely. Then there's cognitive load, the amount of information your brain is actively holding and processing. Every decision you make, every choice you weigh, every detail you track, that all takes up space in your working memory. This is why decision fatigue is real. By the end of the day, even small choices feel overwhelming because your cognitive bandwidth is full. The most effective routines reduce unnecessary decisions. This is where habits come in. A habit is a behavior that's been repeated enough times that it becomes automatic. Your brain stops deliberating and just executes. That's valuable because it frees up mental space for things that actually require thought. But here's the mistake most students make. They try to turn everything into a habit all at once. They want to wake up, exercise, eat healthy, study efficiently, and meditate all on autopilot, all starting Monday. That's not how habits form. Habits require repetition and consistency, which require energy and attention, which are finite. If you're using all your willpower to maintain 10 new habits, you have nothing left for actual studying. A better approach is to automate 1 or 2 small things, the boring logistics that drain you, so you can spend your cognitive resources on work that matters. Maybe that's laying out your clothes the night before, so you don't waste mental energy choosing an outfit. Maybe it's eating the same breakfast every day, so you're not deciding what to make. Maybe it's studying in the same place at the same time, so your brain learns to shift into focus mode without negotiation. These aren't glamorous habits, but they're the scaffolding that makes everything else possible. Take a moment and think about your current routine, not the one you wish you had, the one you actually live. Where does it fight you? Where does it feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill? Those friction points aren't signs that you need more discipline. They're signs that something in the design is mismatched to how you function. Maybe you're studying at the wrong time of day. Maybe you're trying to focus in an environment that's subtly stressful. Maybe you're depleting one type of energy and wondering why another type isn't available. There's a difference between a routine that challenges you and one that contradicts you. A challenge stretches your capacity, but respects your limits. A contradiction asks you to be something you're not. If your routine constantly makes you feel like you're failing, it's not motivating you, it's gaslighting you. The ancient Stoics had a principle called living according to nature. Not nature as in trees and rivers, but nature as in your essential character, your capabilities, your role in the world. They believed that suffering came from trying to be other than what you are, that peace came from aligning your actions with your actual self, not your aspirational self. A good routine is stoic in that sense. It's built on acceptance of who you are right now, not shame about who you're not yet. This doesn't mean you never push yourself. Growth requires discomfort, but there's a kind of discomfort that builds you up and one that tears you down. The difference is whether the effort comes from effort or from self-betrayal. If you're waking up early because you genuinely want to use those quiet morning hours, that's effort.
If you're waking up early because you think you're lazy if you don't, that's self-betrayal. One is sustainable. The other is self-destruction on a slow timer. So what does a good routine actually look like? It's simpler than you think. It starts with observation, not optimization. For 1 week, just notice. Notice when you feel most awake. Notice what drains you and what restores you. Notice which tasks you avoid and which ones you sink into. Don't change anything yet. Just collect data on yourself like you're a scientist studying a fascinating subject. Then, instead of imposing a structure, let one emerge. Put your hardest cognitive work during your sharpest hours. Put your restorative activities when your energy dips. Put your social or collaborative tasks when you have emotional bandwidth.
Build in transitions, small moments where you shift gears between different types of effort. And protect your downtime with the same seriousness you protect your study time. Because rest isn't the absence of productivity, it's the foundation of it. The perfect routine for students isn't about waking up at 5 or studying for 12 hours. It's about building a daily structure that treats your brain like the complex, variable, intelligent system it is. It's about designing your day around energy and attention, not around guilt and aspiration. It's about being honest with yourself, not about being impressive to others. You're not doing it wrong because you can't stick to someone else's routine. You're doing it wrong because you're trying to. The routine that will actually work is the one that fits you, the one that makes your life easier instead of harder, the one that you can maintain, not because you're disciplined, but because it feels like it's working with you, not against you. If this resonated, the next question worth asking is what you're actually optimizing for, because the routine is just a structure. What you fill it with and why, that's where things get interesting. We'll explore that in the next video, along with why most students are solving the wrong problems entirely. But for now, just sit with this. You're not broken. Your routine is.